distinguished presence. We will now proceed to our third session, which is on advancing occupational safety and health in Bangladesh as a fundamental principle and right at work. To moderate this session, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Mohammed Hussain Sharkar, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Employment. Let me also welcome on stage the panelists of this session. Ms. Jahida Parveen, Additional Secretary, Law Wing, Cabinet Division. Mr. Repon Chowdhury, General Secretary, Bangladesh Free Trade Union Congress and member of NCCWE. Mr. Mohammad Abdul Rahim, Inspector General, Department of Inspection for Factories and Establishments. Mr. Shams Mahmood, former President, Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Director-elect, BGMEA.
Distinguished guests, cherished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to the third thematic session, Advancing Occupational Safety and Health in Bangladesh as a fundamental principle and right at work. Today marks a pivotal moment as we are here to engage in a thoughtful exchange of ideas and perspectives for the cause of our workers and for the cause of our nation as a whole. As you might know, at its 110th session in June 2022, the International Labour Conference adopted a resolution and included a safe and healthy working environment in the ILO's framework of fundamental principles and rights at work. It recognized the Occupational Safety and Health Convention, or what we call OSHE Conventions 155 and 187 as fundamental ILO conventions. Now, against this backdrop, may I remind you that other than these two OSHE conventions, Bangladesh ratified 8 out of 10 fundamental conventions. Our dialogue today will delve into the key themes encompassing views from the government as well as workers and employer representatives on the current status on occupational safety and health. And we will hear their views on possible ratification on these conventions as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm privileged to present our esteemed panelists who are a luminary in their respective fields. Mr. Repon Chowdhury, who is the founder and executive director of Bangladesh Occupational Safety, Health and Environmental Foundation. He is the elected Secretary General of Bangladesh Free Trade Union Congress with 25 years of experience in the area of labor policy, industrial relations, occupational safety and health issue. He is one of the leading OSHE rights activists in the Asia region, promoting decent work and building workers' power on OSHE areas. Welcome, sir. I'd like to start the conversation with you, like asking, what is the view of the trade unions on the current situation on OSHE in Bangladesh?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. First of all, I'd like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the ILO for organizing these very important national dialogues that focuses on jobs, social protection and just transitions. And second panel, we saw that the issue of wages, and third is the occupational health and safety streamlines. For the context of occupational health and safety as a fundamental principles of rights work, I think it's a very good progress in the global levels, particularly in the ILO, in the 110 sessions, recognizing that and through a very consensus tripartite basis consensus to adopt the resolutions to have the occupational health and safety as a fundamental principles of rights work. So what does it understand, what is the meaning to us is that this occupational health and safety and health will get a similar respect, treatment, and promotion like the other four fundamental principles like freedom of association, collective bargaining, elimination of forced labor, abolition of child labor, and non-discriminations. So I think the occupational health and safety got a very clear mandate in the lens of human rights, and that already acknowledged by our previous speaker, madams, that it has already in our constitutions the right to health, the right to have a decent lives. So this mandate is already in the constitutions, and this has a state obligations. And we have seen some progress after Rana Plaza tragedy, particularly in the policy level, like development of occupational national health and safety policy in 2013, where trade union had a very important contributions to make it happen. And also the development of national OSHE profile in 2019 and the national plan of actions in 2022 to 2030. So all these policy tools are there, and these are quite a good progress. But we have seen the repeated accidents also, like in 2022 June, we saw a container port accidents where workers, 47 workers were killed. And also we see that in the same years, in the food factory in Naranganj, the Shezan food factory, 52 workers were killed. So we see the repetition of the accidents. Even we have a highest level of commitments, and we have seen a development of policy. So our foundation of occupational health and safety is in line with the national BLA, the Bangladesh Labor Act. So that BLA, most part of the chapters are on occupational health and safety, and we have a very good development of the labor inspection inspectorate after Rana Plaza tragedy, that the huge attentions were given to this department to have a more power and more capacity to act like inspection in the factory level inspections to ensure occupational health and safety and so on. But still long ways to go, because we need to see that none of the workers in the workplace died because of the unsafe working condition. Nobody expects. Every worker has the right to go in a very nice way in the morning to workplace and come back their family in a very safer manner. That has the fundamental rights that need to be ensured, because we understand that from our earlier speakers from DIFA, these are that it's a burden for the employers. Why it should be a burden for the employers? It's a accountability of the employers. They need to deliver it. That is their accountability, because we are talking about the wages and the productivity. Because if the workers are not in a good health conditions, how they will be more productive? If they are not safer, how they will be productive? So from that aspects, we need to ensure that this is not a burden. This is accountability. This has to be delivered, because if we want to be really sustainable in our business and economy, and if we really move forward in the right direction. So coming back to your original questions about where we are now, still we are seeing that the number of accidents is not decreasing. Particularly, there are some progress in the textile garment sectors, building and fire safety, but we have a huge occupational disease problems that are unexplored. We have a huge number of informal economy where, like construction sector, every year, 100 workers are dying, falling from the top. Hundreds of them are getting injured. In the private sectors, we have provisions in the labor law, mandatory provisions for setting up a health and safety committee at the enterprise. That is the basic foundations. That has not yet functionalized. So we have a long ways to go to make the fundamental principles of right at work, the occupational health and safety, a reality. And we must have the decent work vehicle to go run, and that requires employers, trade union, and governments, particularly very big corporations. And we want to support the governments to make the labor inspection systems more strengthened, more functional, more diversified, more accessible. And we want to see that it's a participatory. Workers are also engaged in the labor inspection system so that they can help the government to really support the inspection system functional and make real changes happen in the workplace to address the hazards and risks. So I think that there are some progress, but we don't need to be satisfied that we have done a lot, but we have to go a long way, because we see a big opportunity. The Secretary General's calls for the Global Accelerator, the jobs and social protection for just transition. And we are quite optimistic, because the Prime Ministers have a highest level of commitment she delivered in the ILO to ratify the ILO Convention 155 and 187. This has a very very unique commitment, and if we can do it, that will be we will be the first country in the South Asia to show an example that Bangladesh has fulfilled all the fundamental ratification of all fundamental conventions, and trade unions are ready to support government to accelerate the ratification process, and we are ready to support the government and the employers to sit down and take it to that tripartite consultation committee as the next agendas to take a decision to recommend the government to move it fast forward. Thank you.
Thank you. We have limited time, but I can't but ask you a second question as well. You already touched upon it, but could you also please elaborate the future collaborative approach to implement OSHE as a tripartite constituent? Thank you.
I think our future collaboration is already set. That is the commitment governments already set in the national and international level. The ILO roadmap, where the labor inspection, the chapter of occupational health and safety have very clear partitions, and trade unions are ready to support governments and the employers to achieve those objectives. And we have seen that climate change is a huge impact on in the employment and livelihood of the workers. That has a clear relation to the occupational health and safety. We want to support to achieve the green growth in this country through a promotion of the decent work. Decent work means green jobs that will have the freedom of association, right to bargain collectively, social protection, social dialogue, more functional, that can deliver a real progress to make a safer and decent work for all. And we are ready to support government and the employers to work together to achieve those fundamental goals. Thank you.
Thanks for the perspective. We will take a few more questions. If you have any question, please raise your hand. Make the question in concise. Thank you.
আমি আহসান হাবিব বুলবুল, আমি শ্রমিক প্রতিনিধি এনসিসিডব্লিউ এর পক্ষ থেকে বলছি। আমি সমাজতান্ত্রিক শ্রমিক ফ্রন্টের সাধারণ সম্পাদক। আমরা শুনছি আমাদের দেশের যে পেশাগত স্বাস্থ্য নিরাপত্তার উন্নতি হয়েছে, আমরা যদি সেটিকে চিন্তা করি তাহলে সেই পরিসংখ্যান এবং এই মন্তব্য এক জায়গায় যায় না। আমরা যদি পরিসংখ্যান দেখি, গত 9 বছরে অর্থাৎ 2013 পরের থেকে 2023 পর্যন্ত, 13 পরের থেকে এই 9 বছরের পরিসংখ্যান বলছে যে প্রতি বছরেই পেশাগত দুর্ঘটনা বেড়েছে এবং পেশাগত দুর্ঘটনায় মৃত্যুর সংখ্যা বেড়েছে। অর্থাৎ শুধুমাত্র আমরা আরএমজি খাতে হয়তো আমাদের ডেভেলপমেন্ট হয়েছে, কিন্তু বাংলাদেশের 7 কোটি 36 লক্ষ শ্রমজীবী মানুষের মধ্যে মাত্র 26 থেকে 30 লক্ষ শ্রমিক কিন্তু আরএমজিতে। তাহলে আমার সারা বাংলাদেশের যদি উন্নয়ন হতে হয়, তাহলে সারা বাংলাদেশের সকল শ্রমিকের পেশাগত স্বাস্থ্যের এবং নিরাপত্তায় সে বিষয়টি নিশ্চিত হতে হবে। সেই ক্ষেত্রে ইন্সপেক্টর জেনারেলের ওনার যে কার্যালয়, সেই কার্যালয়ের অ্যাকাউন্টেবিলিটিটা, সেই বিষয়টি নিশ্চিত হওয়ার যে প্রশ্ন, সেই জায়গাটি কি। আরেকটি প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে যে OSHEর যে 2টি কনভেনশন, সেই 2টি কনভেনশন যেহেতু ফান্ডামেন্টাল, মানে অবশ্যই আমাদের দাবিতে সেটি অনুস্বাক্ষর করবেন রাষ্ট্র, সেটি। এর পাশাপাশি আরেকটি বিষয় যে ক্ষতিপূরণের যে কনভেনশন, আমরা আমাদের দেশের যে 121 ক্ষতিপূরণকে কেন্দ্র করে আমাদের শ্রম আইনে সেটি রিফ্লেকশন আসলে চাই। কারণ সেটি যদি রিফ্লেক্ট না হয়, তাহলে এই ক্ষতি মানে যে পেশাগত দুর্ঘটনার যে জায়গাটি, সেটি আসলে নিয়ন্ত্রণ করা যাবে কিনা সেটি প্রশ্ন।
We understood your
ধন্যবাদ
questions.
আপনাদেরকে।
Sir, accountability and compensation.
First of all, the questions came from our workers' representative that since we have much progress in the policy level, we have the regulatory rules and the legal framework has been also improved, but why the accident in average not decreasing? The reason behind that, we might be much focused on export-oriented sectors such as RMG in the whole center of the occupational health and safety approach. I think we need to twist and shift that. We have to go for other sectors which are causing high rate of accidents, such as ship breakings, constructions, the food processing industries, so on. So our approach need to be diversified and holistic to cover, and also the labor inspection systems also need to be expanded. We understand the limitations of the manpower in the DIPE, and the government is trying to increase the manpower and resources. And we expect that government continues to funding the DIPE for increase its manpower, also its capacity. And we see a very good progress. The DIPE have already established an institute to deal with the training and educations. I think it's a very good progress, but maybe we can see how this institute could be more autonomous. It can run in a more functionary ways so that it can serve the whole societies in the occupational health and safety, particularly to look at research, training, and innovations. That is very important because we have a huge data gaps. We don't know the reality of the occupational health and safety situations. So therefore, training, education, and we have the mandatory reporting systems in the labor law. DIFA may be enforced, how the accidents, major and minor, can be reported so that we can get a data and that can be generated to policy, to actions. That kind of things maybe we can look at in the future to see a clear progress, step-by-step progress in the field of occupation. As a future, because we are on the road of the middle-income countries, we see a lot of compliance-related things are coming, and occupational health and safety is one of the big priority areas that need to be addressed, that require a collective actions. Thank you.
Thank you for the reflection.
Hello, I'm Audrey. I'm currently leading the foreign policy team at Youth Policy Forum. So my question will be so precise. Okay, so I want to know that despite making the notable progress in improving the OSHE in the RMG sector, we still are struggling. In the informal economy in extending OSHE and the protection against the violence and harassment. So what could be the initial ways to mitigate such challenges? Thank you.
So who do you want to respond to your question? Would you
Anyone
like to?
from the panelists can answer the
Any
question.
panelist?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So in terms of the questions about the coverage of the health and safety in the informal sector, I think government is and the tripartite constituents are working in the labor law reform. I think there is a very good chance how we can explore to cover the informal sector in the health and safety coverage and inspection systems also in the informal sector. That can be explored. I think that requires a very good attention. And also about the gender-based violence issues. I think we have a clear verdict from the High Court what to do. Now is to do that things. And also we already acknowledged that there is a clear relation between gender-based violence and occupational health and safety, and there is a need government has a very highest commitment to address the gender-based violence issues. And maybe this is a good time also think about the ratification of the ILO Convention 190, that is gender-based violence and elimination of gender-based violence and harassment. And that could give a real push to have the country's highest level of policy-making structures to deliver the policy and laws. And also that reflections we can see in the workplace, the zero level of harassment and the gender equality and the violence-free workplace. I think that are the opportunities we see in the coming days. Thank you.
Together, let's continue to shape our destiny with courage, compassion, and collective action. With heart full of hope and love, let's go forth and make our shared future a reality. Thank you once again.